Good afternoon, back with another rendition of the B&H virtual event space. And today, Kat Federer is joining us, showing us how to create a winter wonderland in Photoshop. Now, Kat, in the Northeast, and I know in a lot of spots across the country and across the world, we got the real winter wonderland with some snow recently, but you're going to be taking us into the digital world. So I first wanted to welcome you onto our space. How's it going?
Hi, Derek. Thanks a lot. I'm fine.
So it's a pleasure to have you. This is almost the perfect day here because it's about 10 degrees out in New York City right now. So you're going to be talking about snow and showing us how to create that nice winter wonderland effect. And it feels like a winter wonderland here. So
yeah, we got about snow yesterday, a couple. It was everything white, but melted away overnight. So hopefully we're going to start again a bit of winter wonderland also in Switzerland.
Wonderful. Well, why wait? Kat is going to show us how to take some beautiful creations here on Photoshop. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Kat. For all of our viewers, you guys know the drill. If you do have any questions, make sure to get them in. Kat will be taking questions throughout the presentation. So if there's a process that she's going over, don't hesitate to ask your question. We'll break in and make sure we get that answered for you. So Kat, take it away.
Thanks, Derek. So here we are in Photoshop. I make a new document. 4,000 in width, 5,000 pixels in height, 300 dpi resolution, RGB color, white background, doesn't matter. I work usually with the sRGB color mode. So let's create the document. Then we start with making a gradient layer. I prepared the gradient already, but I'm going to show you how it is made of. These are the colors. On the left side, we have white. On the right side, we have the 7C8D93 color. It's also a desaturated blue. That's fine. Then it's not linear, it's reflected. So we have that in the middle, like the white, and on the other sides, we have the blue color reduction blue. Perspective is okay. It depends what you are using, but I like this is a new one with the latest update. You got that new, how we say, that new version. The rest is fine, but we have to take now the white a bit lower. We take it at about, you can drag that, you see? So we take it a bit under the middle, maybe like this. I have to be a bit far away from my screen. That's okay. Then we're gonna create a new layer because I want in the upper half like that dizzy clouds, but we're gonna create them ourselves. So I create a new layer. I say clouds. Then I take a soft brush. Up here is all my brushes. I soft brush. Let's go click that. Still have it. Size, I would say, like about, because when I hold Alt on my keyboard, and I get the eyedropper, for example, but when I drag with the right click on my mouse, is from right to left is the size of the brush, and from up to down is the hardness. It's really cool, so you don't have always to go up here and figure out where you have to do it. So just with the mouse, you can control your whole brush. So we take it 0% in hardness, and about, I would say, about that size. Front color is white, and we take down the opacity to about 60%. So what I'm going to do now is just drag some crazy lines here. That might look a bit weird, but we want to see how that's going to bring us. Then we right-click, convert to Smart Object. Then we go to Filter, Gaussian Blur, and we take about 160 pixels. We add another filter. Also in the soft blur filter gallery, I don't know how is it called, this motion blur. And this extremely high, 1634, you can also reduce it. It depends how much you want to see these little, you see it, maybe, I hope you see it on your screen, but it gives a little bit of touch of clouds or dizziness in the sky, so that's fine. Just to explain why I do that and convert it in a smart object, because this is non-destructive workflow, so you can go back later and change it again. Because when you reopen it, just double click and you can change it. If we wouldn't have converted it to a smart object before we do the filters, I wouldn't be able to change it. I had to do it again. So now I use my plugin, the Pixelsquid plugin. I'm going to show you that here on my browser. Pixelsquid is a plugin for Photoshop where you can go in when you have it installed and just put in wintry, for example. And so I have all these trees and all these with the tick here, I have already put it into one of my light box. The light box is represented in Photoshop here. So I prepared already the live stream tree where I want to use with you guys here. So what you're gonna pick here in the browser, you say add to your light box, and then you have it here, reload it, and you got it. So you see I have my light boxes here for different kinds. So for example, that one, I have many of these because I use these tools a lot. But we go now to our prepared one because I want to add this tree. Pixelsquid is the cool thing on Pixelsquid is because now you have the possibility to completely get the angle you want. So for example, you need a low angle, or that one is not possible, or you want it from the top, you just drag it in this is going to be updated, you know. So here you can, whatever your composition is, here you can completely select the angle you want to have your object placed. For that tutorial, we take that angle. You can already now change the size by clicking on that layer. This is that one. Control T, and we already can resize it a bit to have the idea where the angle it must be. We go back to the plugin. If I'm happy with it, I can set and say embed smart object. That's what I'm going to do now. This might take a bit while now because we have also a live stream. It depends on your stream capacity or how much you can stream. For this tutorial, it's also possible, for example, to go to take a kind of stock picture. For example, I don't know if you know, on Adobe Stock, you have that free pick panel. So if you go to the free picks, you can enter here winter tree, for example, and you have now all these are free picks you can pick. For example, you like one of these. For example, that one, you can license it and download it and make a selection instead of the plugin. I'm going to show you that also here. I'm going to show you that. This is just an alternative. That's what I made already for you guys. For example, I picked that one of the pics and make the selection of a photo. This is an alternative for using the Photoshop plugin Pixelsquid if you don't have that, or if you don't want that. So it's downloaded now. But for that version, I'm going to show you here. I work with the plugin. So we have one of these items now, of these trees. I'm going to add another one. But now the cool thing is, of course, we don't want it double. We need a little bit of change. So what I'm going to do, let's make the same angle. I'm going to just turn it a bit so that it don't look really pretty much the same as the first one we just added. So I'm going to take that one as well. Because if you have always the same angle, it looks a bit, how to say, boring, unreal. So I changed the angle. Of course, you can also make it easy and flip it, but sometimes, especially in this composition, the light is quite busy, and probably most of composition is a bit difficult because some of these objects are related to the light from one side. So if you flip it, you have the light from the wrong side. It might be a bit, it looks really unreal. So light is usually very important and has to be considered in compositing. Of course, if you are creating very, very surreal stuff, light is not so important, and it can be really wrong. It should be, it could be, and it should be wrong because it's the kind of style. So to make it easy, because it's taking too much time, if I would change the angle all the time, I'm just gonna holding Alt and drag it once down. So we have a copy. And one again, maybe the second one, we take it to the up and let's position them. And I'm gonna not take too much time here to position them, but I'm gonna just, excuse me, just maybe making different sizes. Yeah, so let's keep it like that, but it's probably not looking too real, but for the moment, I think you get the point. You can take your time and place them wherever you want. Maybe I think I take that one a bit to the back. Fine. So now you see the shadow is not that what we really want. So what I'm going to do now, I just reopen one of the smart objects of the Pixelsquid plugin. I hide the shadow because this is cool. You can hide it or lower opacity, but I want to make our own shadow. So that's why I hide the shadow, save here the smart object, and it get updated. Here we have another one because it's not not one I already copied, because the one you copy, this is the same smart object, and you only have to do it once. But if you do add a new object, of course it's another one, a new one, you have to rework it separately. So we have taken off the shadows. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add under all those three a layer to make our own shadow. Let's call that shadow. Then I take a soft brush, make it small. Let's see if that works. Then if with your, I used to say, or with your arrows on your keyboard, you can drag the brush. Then I take a dark black. If you want to work precise, you go to these darks here on your trees, or even from this, let's make that. I'm gonna reopen that. I take the color, because if you take black, it's not the same tone as from your composition, but I want to have the same tone. So I copy that color, go back to our shadow layer, copy that color in here, make it very dark, so we have the same tone, but only a bit darker as we have, not black. And now we're gonna go back to our brush, and let's see, I have 60% opacity. And let's see if that works. I think we have to make it a bit smaller, Control Z to make it back. Make it a little bit smaller. Try again. I think that works. But if you are not happy with it, just create a new one. Maybe we can do, I think, let's do it once again and make about 70. You can take also 100% and lower the opacity of the layer is also possible. Then drag it a bit back, down. Make it a bit, holding shift to make it a bit more width. And Control T to make the perfect placing. Let's keep it. It's not perfect, but let's keep it. I think you get the idea. So what we're going to do now, we have to add a bit of fog to these trees. On the top of the trees, I create a new layer. Call it fog. Then I take a fog brush. I have tons of brushes here, so I'm going to take a really white one. How is it? With a with less transparency. I take that one, and you may ask yourself where I got these brushes from. I get many brushes from Brusheezy. This is the website, brusheezy.com. You can here enter fog, for example, and there are many brushes. They are completely free, so you just download it from here. And I drag again with my arrow keys on my keyboard. I drag it a bit and tap once. Maybe we take 100%. Let's see. And that's of course black. That's pretty bad. With X on my keyboard, I change to white. That looks really good. Then we make a clipping mask. We put all trees together in a group. Control G. Say trees. Then we make a clipping mask of the fog of to the trees. That means the fog is only visible on the trees. How I'm going to do that? I hold Alt on my keyboard and drag with my mouse between these layers, and then you get that arrow. And I click once, so it's done. So we only have it visible on our trees. So what I'm going to do now, we are already adding our deers. Our deer is it called in English, I guess. Huh? I have found that picture I'm going to use from Unsplash. I'm going to show you that. It's free. It's completely free of license free, 00 license. So I find that from Diana Parkhouse. I downloaded it. And I'm going to add that to our composition. I make sure that on the top of the layer, I'm going to drag that here into my composition. Here we go. Then I'm a bit lazy. I really confess I'm lazy because making mask is a time saver when you have the remove background plugin. So because then I'm on the layer of this Unsplash picture, I say just remove background in one click. Usually it works good. I have to say from 95% it really works really good. And because it's just a time saver. So here we go, one click, all done. If you don't want to use it and want to do it all by yourself, of course you can do it your own in Photoshop. But once you have it, you don't want to miss it. Then, because the cool thing is non-destructive, because you have the original down here and on the top the selection with the only selection. Then we put everything in a smart object to have our non-destructive workflow. I'm gonna say Control-T to make them smaller and position them about that here, maybe. I think, yeah, we'll leave it here. Wherever we want to have it. I think it's fine here. Can take it a bit up. Oops. Wrong tool. That's fine. So, but now you see it looks totally weird. But we have to, I'm going to rename that deer. So we have to make an adjustment in Camera Raw. So let's go to Camera Raw. So if you have your, oops, just make it a bit bigger, because with holding with your mouse, you see that with your mouse you can drag it to make it bigger. And with your space bar, you can move it around. So I think like that it's fine. First, we're gonna make it bluish more. We give it more colder tone. I think with this. Then we take the darks a bit upper, because we have to make like a foggy style. Then lower structure, because we don't want it too detailed because of the fog. It needs to be looking foggy. And what I'm going to do also, dynamic down. I think it's fine. Then we add, because the front here is not good, and it needs to look like they are walking in fog, snow, like something like that. So I'm going to add linear mask. I'm going to drag that approximately like this. And here I just, I'm going to do something, my audio. We just drag that up. So if you see that, I think you're gonna, you don't see that much, I guess, here. Let's make it more. A bit we see it, but what you're going to add on top of that, we're going to add a layer style. Double click on the layer and we say color overlay, white 14%. I think we can even take a bit more. Just reopen that, double click on color overlay and make it even a bit more foggy. That's it. What I'm going to do now, we add a new layer below the deer, and we call it shadow. And it's actually the same as we did before. We take the brush and we take that one we had already, the small one. And too bad, we still have the same color, that's fine, because we want it not dark, we have to take the same color, shadow color. So I'm gonna make it appropriate to the, now we have to see how that works to make our shadow. Take the opacity down maybe a bit, make it a bit less small. And let's see, you see that it is too much, too big. In this foggy style, it's not so easy to place or to figure out how the shadow must look like. It's even too much. I think that works. And it's also, in this composition, it's not so important, but actually for every shadow you make, you have to consider that you also have a touching shadow. That means where the bottom or where you want to place the shadow, just under there where the bottom touches, it needs to be even darker than the rest of the shadow. But in this composition, it's not necessary. So here we call that a shadow of small deer. And we just add another layer below or up the upper there and call it shadow big deer, and just repeat the same thing for the bigger ones, for the bigger one. I think we leave it because we can make correction endless here, but maybe I'll make it a bit. Oh, yeah, I think you get the idea. That's fine. So I think you see now it's actually already finished. But now I'm going to show you. You get the idea of how it is. Pretty easy, yeah, isn't it? But now what I'm going to do, what I mostly do for my composition is my first idea. But now you probably you want to give another mood or something like that. And now the real fun starts, I can tell you. Because now we do a stamp up. For that, I have another cool tool. I have this Pro Panel plugin. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you that. This is a tool. It's also of my friend John. He had made that, and it's really, I really don't want to miss it. It also has a lot of good tutorials. It's multi-language supported. And all these tutorials to introduce this panel is really good. But once you use it, you really don't want to miss it. For that, because I need now for my next step, I want to make a stamp up. You can do it on your keyboard, Control, Shift, Alt, and E. But yeah, I do it easy. I just make here one click stamp up. Here we go. Stamp up means it's just a copy. It merges all layers below, but keeps them visible. So it's non-destructive. So I make now a smart object. And it's actually the same we had before, but just in one layer. That's what I'm going to do now. And now we go to filter and show you another tool, filter, Luminar. And now I can really tell you the real fun is going to start, because when you have it, it gives you so many possibilities, ideas. It's just fun. It's so much fun. Luminar is a plugin. It's also, you can have it also as a standalone. I'm going to show you that. I think there is a link in the description of this session today. It's the Luminar AI is one I have. The Luminar Neo is the new one coming in February. It can even more as the actual one. and is layer supported. At the moment, Luminar AI plugin is not layer supported here in Photoshop, but as you are in Photoshop, you have the layer, so it doesn't matter. So now you have now all these possibilities. Of course, I have a lot of presets. It's like in Lightroom or in Camera or in Camera Raw, you have presets. But I really have to tell you, the canvas, it's really nice looking. It's really great. The fantastic design, software design inside here. So I really like that. So you can go now all these presets here and just get an idea how you may change the mood of it. And of course, this is not all looking. I have tons of it. I can't go through everything, but I'm going to show you the one I use for that. I take that one. This might take a bit because always when you see here in the left side, it is working. And so this is probably, if you have a slow computer, it takes a lot of resources. So I'm glad it's working today. So I take the number 12 because I know it from the last one. So I take number 12, but I'm going to change here. These are just the presets here, and here you can change everything what you accordingly you want it. I'm going to take the colors and take here more blue. And we make a complete color change to 8 here. A bit, oh man, it works. I just want to give it a more bluish touch. Or yeah, I think it's fine. Let's keep it for that. However, I just want to show you this cool tool. You can go, say, that's okay. You can go all your presets, check everything, different modes, whatever you want. It's just fun, really fun, because you have the possibility in addition to Photoshop. And that's what I like. You have everything. If you use it as a standalone, you don't have the possibility to change a mask and everything what you have then in Photoshop. And this is going to take a while, for example. That's hopefully my computer is not going to crash. No, it's fine. So the layer is now updated. You won't see much if you see it before. A bit of change. I'd say I call it. You can call it like the preset we just use. I check it Luminar, Luminar 1, not so one, Luminar 1, for example. Hit the K, Control J. Control J makes a copy of the same layer. We're going to reopen because it's a smart object, it's non-destructive. We can reopen the Luminar AI. Because then the tricks comes. Because we have Photoshop, we can change, or we can use blending modes to merge these two layers of Luminar AI together. And that's the cool thing. Because here, I'm going to change that now to this preset. And I take focus. I change here in the edit panel. Let me see the colors. With saturation, we make it a bit more saturated. And the greens, bit more to, I think it's cyan, right, in English. And the cyan we take more to the blue. All these lighters remind probably to Camera Raw or to Lightroom. That's exactly what it is. It's all this software is pretty much the same. So we take it also here a bit more to 15, I think. We hit OK. I just want to point out what we didn't consider in this tutorial right now. These trees, if you see that your trees correspond completely not with the color mode and color style of your composition, of course you have to make additions, I would say edits first, because the Luminar, I use the Luminar when the rest of the composition is finished. That means you have to make light adjustments, color adjustments, just to have everything ready, just to go to the font style actually. But what I'm going to do now, I change the blending mode to multiply. Multiply here. So, and we have that style what I showed you, what we have in my composition. And I just noted, for example, that my white or my middle point of the light didn't work, because the trees should be more down here. But for we keep it now and you can make it better. What I'm going to do now, I take a selective color railer, because we just are in the finish at the moment. I choose the cyan tab, the yellow, to give it more bluish tone. I can go even more faster. The cool thing on this selective color adjustment is you can even change the style of the whites and the darks. Because when you have, for example, in winter, the white has a very light bluish tone. So that's what you can change everything here. Then what we do again, we adjust the greens. Now we're going to do something. We make a color adjustment layer. Sorry. And then we go to the greens. Saturation down. And we take the blues. And take it down also. Because I don't want it to really bluish. That's fine. Then we add a light vignette. I use again my color panel, because then here you have two options of making color vignettes: a preset with a vignette or a custom vignette. Preset vignette is just one click, but all non-destructive. But I'm going to do my own vignette, for example. I take that one. And then now, because you can now have your own radius, I say custom vignette. And here you can change the strength, but I'm fine with that, that's fine. But now it's completely non-destructive, you know. You see that? Really cool. Just one click. Then to make our, you know, for Instagram, you need everything to make pop. It needs to be pop, contrast or everything. So what I'm going to do, I use the color, the Pro panel again, because here I have that lux filter. On top of all my layers, I add a lux filter pad and makes it pop. And it's really cool. At one click and everything makes pop. But now we have a problem. That's often because here we have that banding. I don't know if you see that. We have a really bad banding here. So then it's what you can go back to everything, but I have a really cool tip for you. We now make another stamp up. because banding is horrible, but you always have it, but that's how it is. We make a stamp up, one click, convert to smart object, but you really have to do, if you're happy with it, make it at the final end. It's just because now, if you have to change, go back to the first things, you have to redo it everything again. So just be sure that you are finished. So what we're gonna do now, there are two options. Banding, to get rid of banding, keep that in mind. It can save you for everything. What you do first, add a filter, a motte filter. I hope that's the right word for in English, motte filter. 30 to 50 is fine. So we are already most of it rid of it. You see that here? I make it unvisible, see it? Of course, it takes off everything, but we're gonna change that, fix that. And sometimes this is not enough and you have to add a bit of gray. For here, it seems to be fine, but sometimes just add a bit of gray. About 3%, 7, yeah, like this. That's fine, makes it even better. But here seems to be not necessary. And what we're gonna do now, we make a mask on it, and we cover it. We make our foreground color black. I just hit XX on my keyboard, and now I hold Alt and press Delete on my keyboard, and it's black. Alternatively, I'm going to show you now even quicker. Hold Alt and tap on your mask, and it's black already. So we see now it's coming back, but what we're going to do, we're going to hide that everything and make visible where you need it. So you can take a soft brush and make it full, make it a bit smaller maybe, and we just brush with white. Nothing happened because we have black in the foreground. So we just brush that banding away. Here we go. Gone. Of course, keep in mind again, this you have to do it really at the final end, because if you see now, as I said before, I think my trees are a bit, should be a bit more in the front of, nearer to the deer. So I have to go back and do all again. That's really a lot of work. Of course, the Luminar, you don't have to delete these, you just reopen your smart objects and enter here your copy, your stamp up copy, and save it, and all is done. But it's really, you have to be sure that you are finished. So that's it actually. What I do at the final end, when I'm completely finished, I add my signature, like a watermark here. I once made a brush of my logo. So I have my watermark here, and I say SIG, and make it, for example, white, and make it smaller. Shouldn't be that visible. Maybe 50%. Yeah, that's fine. Here we go, finished.
Wow, beautiful, simple.
Yeah, it's simple.
A lot of steps, but seeing it all laid out and knowing why the steps are there with that explanation of why they're there really, really, really helps put it all together.
I mean, if you have time, I mean, when I made it, it usually takes a bit, I take my time to, I mean, for example, here it's, I see that these shadows are a bit too much. I probably corrected the shadows in color again because it's too dark. But I just want to point out that when we compare now to before, maybe we take that off and the Luminar off. That's probably, when I first had the idea for this composition, I really wanted to have it in fog. I'm honest. I wanted a foggy style. But then because it's so much fun with Luminar, I use it and I see, oh no, I take the dark version. And I'm honest, sometimes more pop stuff or more contrast are very helpful for Instagram, because on that small screen, everything what pops out is, people like it more. So, but if I would, composition is also nice. I mean, it's another style. I probably had, if I wouldn't have used the Luminar here, I would change the color a bit more to the bluish tone, or adding like a light point here at the edge or here at the edge to make it a bit more, to give it more expression. But yeah, I think for me, I always, when people ask me how you get your ideas or how you can create this, I think much of my work is the idea itself. The idea is, and where to place objects is a bit more than half of your composition. If I would place this deer here and trees here, it wouldn't have the same impression. So the idea and how it is composed, or what I mean with that is where the objects are placed. This is actually most important. Execution is nice if you can Photoshop, but I mean, if I'm able to create what I want, if your idea is not good enough and your composition, where to place your objects, you can be the best Photoshopper. It's not looking good at the final end. It's my opinion.
Yeah, and the ratio, I think that's one of the things that catches a lot of people when they do composites and when they do Photoshopped scenes, is if you don't get the ratio just right, something looks off and it doesn't really sell the realness of the image.
Yeah, I take a lot of time myself for placing object. It's a time killer, really. Today I was creating a new composition and I figured out where to place a cloud about half an hour, 20 minutes. But when I see that I often leave things for a moment, sleep over it, come back later. That happened really, really many times. I often can't finish a composition because I couldn't find the right style. And when you go back after a week, you probably have a sudden idea. And oh, it's now, I got it. I have the right colors. And what I also do, when I finish the composition, I upload it to my cloud and have a look at it, how it works on my mobile. Because many compositions look very cool on my screen, but I have 28 really big screens here. So, and also the light is different on your computer, and you watch it on your mobile, it looks nonsense. It looks flat. So then I often go back and change things, and yeah, and I'm not always. I have many times I could create every day a new composition, and there are times I have no ideas, or I feel I stick in every composition. I get stuck, you know. I can't finish, and sometimes I could create 24 hours, so many days, and everything works, and it's so different.
Yeah. Kat, do you ever run into the problem? One thing that I always get stuck in my head whenever I'm taking something, and granted, I'm never doing anything this drastic, but even anytime I replace anything in Photoshop, or anytime I'm putting in something that wasn't originally there, it's almost like I have a mental block in my mind where I know that it doesn't belong there. So I constantly freak
Really?
out that it doesn't look real. I mean, so
Yeah,
I won't
but
be able to look past, and I don't know. I'm like, wait, does it look real, or am I just bugging out, or will somebody be able to notice? Does that happen to you at all, or no?
no. But I'm not a photographer. That's the change, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, when I started with all that, I really had to fight and how we say in English, justify myself why I'm not a photographer. But now nobody's asking us because many people are asking me how to do something, and it's a lot of fun. I like that when people are asking. That's what I do at everything. But I can imagine that, yeah. But my workflow is different. I see many things all day from an ad or from TV or from Instagram or from a YouTube video, and that get in my head, and here in my head everything is composed. So with other words, I create what I like. And I remember this composition I just made here, that I saw one picture on Instagram. I can show you that a second, because I want to show you the initial idea. Maybe this is interesting for people or to know.
Yeah,
I'm going to show you that. Let me check you that. Double S. Here we go. You see that one? So this was the initial idea for this composition.
yeah, we can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're constantly looking at images or
Yeah.
anything that inspires you, scenes that are outside that you walk by, and drawing inspiration from that.
So recently I saw something on TV, and I watch my TV in how we say back when it's not live, you know.
Okay.
And I took a photo because it was about the National Geographic or something, and I took a photo with my mobile, and just to get idea. I'm not going to copy, and I don't want to copy a photo, but I need ideas for my composition, and most of the time, I would say 80% you cannot recognize any connection between these photos. It's just like a source where I start, initial idea where I start, but the final end at the final picture, the final creation is completely different what the idea was. Because I invent my ideas during creating, because then I get this just like a source, and at the final end you wouldn't see any connection. That one is quite connection because of the objects, but finally you wouldn't see any comparison finally, because it's another mode. It's just but of course I have ideas from something, or maybe what I see, I mix it together in my head. I take something from that and take something from that. But finally, I just create what I like and nothing else. And but of course, if you see my composition, sometimes they're quite similar, and it's like an economic working, you know. Sometimes you go back to your old work and just create something new of the same or something, just to be economic working. Yeah, that's it. What shall I do? And that's me.
How do you know when you're done? I know a lot of people, you would put something together like this and people would drive themselves crazy saying, well, does it need something else? What should I put? You know, should I put something else there? How do you decide when an image is done?
Also, for example, at the moment I had a new composition, and I feel that if it's something missing, because I'm just have a look at my composition. They have clouds, they have moons, I feel something putting in the sky, but why? I don't know why. Recently I was thinking I cannot put again a moon. What shall I do? how is it, air balloon, or what is it? Birds, okay, birds. But I have a new one I created last week. I created a new one with something completely new, never seen, really never seen. And it's something in the sky, but it's not a moon, and it's not a cloud, and it's not birds, something completely new. But I like lines. So you see my object often in lines, but also a bit, how we say, opposite of lines, going against the stream, because it's interesting, makes the composition interesting, not just like one line, just completely different. I don't know, I often say to people, how do they say, how you know where to crop, how to place these styles? Of course, there are many rules. I have this, you can go to many photographer videos, how they explain where to place or where to stand, how to focus on those elements that they make a nice composition. But I don't know if I think it's, you don't have the time to figure out all your guideline, what you have to do or not. You have to feel it. And I have no guideline. For me, it feels right or not. So I think that's what you, yeah.
Now, we have one final question for you. It is, what do you draw more inspiration from out of these three things? What you see in real life, photography that you see, or art, be it classical paintings or any type of art?
I would say about 60% photography, 30% art, and 10% what I see in life. Because the problem is, it's when I'm honest, my free time is in front of my computer, so I don't see much in my life. I mean, you know what I mean? That's realistic. I would say I often see on what I see on videos on my computer, yeah, because it's just it's a passion. It's a big passion. But I really have to. If I would have time, I would of course go more out and take I mean, of course, sometimes I take pics myself. If I need a certain kind of grass, I go out in my garden and take a grass photo, because I just need a little piece of it. But the recent works I do is mostly with these 3D elements, with the Pixelsquid. Of course, not everything you have there, but most of these. Also in this composition we just created today, the deer, there is also possible to take out of the Pixelsquid plugin as a 3D element. But I thought I'm going to show you another way how to do it. And these two guys here, they look so pretty, so I thought I'm going to take these. But yeah, no, and but art as well. In art, I think it's more less. In photography, it's often the color mood what I copy. I just like because I see so cool color combinations, and I mean there is you can do it with adjustment layers or the gradient overlay. So easy to create a color mood. And yeah, I would say from real life, not too much, because I think it would be more possible when I'm more out. But I spend too much time in front of my computer.
We're going to have to talk to John Weatherby and see if he can create another program that saves you even more time so you can get more time outside in the real world.
I asked him, yeah. Now, I mean, probably maybe Photoshop is going to invent a panel like live or real world or something. You just jump in and yeah.
There we go. It's pretty soon.
yeah, I think they have plans. I can tell you some really cool plans is Adobe having for the next few months. So so let's be excited.
Definitely. No, it's definitely exciting and to see how far everything has come with the AI technology that's out there and the ability to really go on and have full control over.
Look, I'm going to tell you something. If you have not the ability to see what the final picture is, or what a beautiful picture is, nothing helps you at all. You can be the best Photoshopper. If you don't see, if you're talent free, then you can be the best Photoshopper of the world, but your compositions are bad. So I think that's what I say. It's the same with the photography. You can have all the best gears, the best, everything of the finest you have, the best computer at home, all software. If you don't see what a beautiful picture is, nothing helps.
That is perfectly said. I couldn't say it any better. I think that's the perfect closing note for this workshop. It really is. It's about what you see. If you can have the most beautiful scene, all the gear, all the technology, but if you don't have the ability to put it all together, it doesn't really do much for you.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Kat, it was a pleasure to see your process. We'd love to.
Pleasure is mine.
Yes. So thank you for joining us. We definitely love to have you back and get more inside your creative mind and see what you have going on there. So for all of our viewers, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your questions as well. But this is another round in the books. That's all we have for you now. We have 2 more workshops coming up for you today, so stay tuned for those. But that's it. Another rendition of the B&H Virtual Event Space is in the books. Catch y'all next time.